the audience. So, thank you. Firstly, this brings back a lot of memories. Back in 2015, for the first time when I was here in Dallas, I think it was Sudhakar Pennam who was the then president of IT Serve. Thank you, Sudhakar, for hosting us again. Thank you very much for taking the time, making the effort, and bringing this distinguished gathering under this roof. Again, when we came back in 2022, I think it was Devinder who was the president of IT Serve. Now it is Anju Vallavneni Garu and the Dallas chapter president Abhishek Boinpalli. And to all the distinguished industry leaders, captains who have created 175,000 jobs in the US, have contributed 12 billion plus in revenues to the US, and have continued to support the growth and the momentum of the IT industry here in the US and back home in India. Thank you very much. I think you guys deserve a big round of applause for yourself and what you've done. Just wanted to share a couple of thoughts. I think something that's foremost on everybody's mind right now, something that's possibly right on top of most of your thought processes at this point in time, is what is happening in the US, especially after President Trump has taken charge. I think you're speaking in hushed tones. Most of you are worried. Most of you are probably a bit concerned as to what is likely to happen because, of all the new laws that are being contemplated, especially the immigration policies and how they are going to change over the next few years and how possibly they'll impact business and bottom line across the US, especially in the technology industry. My 2 cents, I'm not an expert of the US legislations or the US government policies here, but I do know that one thing for sure, tough situations, interesting possibilities, and whenever we have run into such situations in the past, the industry and also all of you collectively have always found ways and means to ensure that the industry's growth continues. Because each time we've had a disruption happen, a new legislation, a new policy, or even a new technology that comes into play, you would see lots of consequences which kind of trigger panic once in a while, which kind of trigger some kind of alarming thought processes, etc. The one thing I do believe though is that this is going to create a lot more opportunities back home in India. Now, that may not necessarily be good news for you readily, but I do believe that what the Trump government, the Trump administration here is trying to do is to basically bring back jobs to America. That's what they claim at least. But I do believe sincerely that this might actually create a bigger wave of offshoring and create more jobs in India. There is an opportunity for all of you there as well. I was talking to a friend of mine just a couple of months ago about this same issue. I don't want to name names, but it's a major multinational company which has got presence in several countries. The one thing I've learned from this gentleman when he was telling me, he started saying the whole lure of technology industry offshoring was the cost arbitrage. The low cost, high value human capital that's available in India vis-a-vis the American corporations, how you could get certain part of the work done with a very cost-effective manner, and how that competitive edge is gone because even the labor costs are rising in India as well in large metros. So when this gentleman started saying, wages in Bangalore, wages in Hyderabad, wages in Pune, wages in Chennai, and also in National Capital Region are not that different, from the US, maybe 25 to 30% different and not that different. I started talking to him about this possibility that we've seen post-COVID. I think COVID has shown all of us that geographies don't really matter in getting work done. You could be working from home, and that home could be anywhere. It could be in a remote village in Tamil Nadu. It could be in a remote village somewhere in Bangladesh. Or it could be a remote part of the US where you have your home and you could work right out of home as long as you can have connectivity. COVID has really shown us a mirror. COVID has really shown us a lot of possibilities as well. But one of the biggest opportunities that COVID has presented to all of us is that you could actually start moving, in the entire spectrum of work that you do in technology, there's a huge chunk of it which can actually be hived off and which can go to tier 2 cities. Most of you have offices in Hyderabad, most of you have offices in Bangalore and other parts of India. Of course, that's great that you actually continue to support our motherland. But even within the support that you've extended, even within the businesses that you've started in India, I think there's a huge chunk of it that can be done by tier 2 towns. That's exactly what we did in the last 10 years. We actually started looking at physical spaces. We set up physical spaces in Telangana in about 10 different tier 2 towns, which is what Anju was talking about. In Khammam, in Mehboob in Nalgonda, in Siddipet, in Nizamabad, and the list goes on. In about 10 different places, in Adilabad we started and it's almost up and coming. 10 different places, the government has put in money to set up physical infrastructure to the extent of almost 50 to 75,000 square foot of campus. And we also have a very interesting policy where we actually said the first year is rent free. So anybody who wants to come in and set shop will actually have you can hit the ground running. And basically it's a plug and play kind of a facility where you can come in because all the infrastructure is ready. You can come in, plug in your computer and start working. One success story that I would like to share with you. There's a company called NTT Data. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the name. So NTT in India, in Hyderabad, was run by a friend called Sanjeev Deshpande. So one day Sanjeev came to me about, I think post-COVID, 22 or something. We were generally chit-chatting about what can be done, what should be done. So he was saying, the explosive growth of IT sector in Telangana is both a boon and a bane. I said, why? He said, I'm glad that the number of jobs is increased. In 2014, when Telangana was formed, the total number of technology jobs in Hyderabad and Telangana together was hardly 323,000. But in 2023, December, when we left office, that 323,000 almost became 1 million jobs. To be precise, 946,000 jobs. So he said it's good that the industry has grown, number of jobs have been created, people have started looking at Hyderabad with a great deal of interest, etc., etc. But he said it's bad because, you got these large corporations like Google, whose second largest office outside of the US is in Hyderabad. You have a large corporation like Amazon, whose largest campus in the world. By the way, can you tell me where the largest campus of Amazon is? In the world? In Hyderabad. Those of you who did not know, you should know this. The largest campus of Amazon is not in Seattle. It is actually in Hyderabad. It's a 3.3 million square foot campus. Again, that happened in about 2015-16. Likewise, the largest campus of Meta outside of the US is in Hyderabad. The largest campus of Apple outside of the US is also in Hyderabad. The largest campus of Uber, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Medtronic, and the list goes on, Novartis. All of these guys have moved to Hyderabad between 2014 to 2020. In 6 years flat after the formation of new state of Telangana, all these guys have come in creating thousands of jobs. But the downside is now NTT Data and all the small IT companies, which possibly don't have the same brand leverage, brand image as that of Amazon or Google, etc., have to compete. Have to compete with the likes of Amazon, Google to retain your employees. The employees you worked hard to train, the employees you've invested tons of money in training, you're losing to Google and Amazon. So this was the question Sanjeev was asking me. He said, I'm glad Amazon is here. I'm glad Google is here. I'm glad all these big companies are here, which have created a brilliant ecosystem. They come in with their suppliers, they come in with their partners, vendors, etc. But how do I compete with them? Each of them is paying huge money. And of course, there is the lure of working for a big brand. How do I compete? So then we had a heart-to-heart conversation. I asked Sanjeev, I said, why do you have to do all your business in Hyderabad? Because, I come from, I'm a guy who was, born in Karimnagar but raised in Hyderabad for a large part of my life. But I do know that when I moved from Karimnagar, which is where I actually was educated till 3rd and 4th grade, when I moved to Hyderabad, I had a bit of about a 6-month window to adjust, to actually kind of sort of upgrade myself to talk the lingo of the boys and girls in my school in Hyderabad. Likewise, I know that when a young student, engineering student or otherwise a graduate student moves from a tier 2 town to a tier 1 town, I know that they have more to prove to themselves and to the rest of the world. So there's more fire in the belly. There's more aggression. There's more passion to do what they would like to do. So I convinced Sanjeev, because Sanjeev is also from a tier 2 town. He's from Adilabad. Adilabad is almost about 300 kilometers from Hyderabad. It's to one corner of Telangana. It's closer to Nagpur than it is to Hyderabad. So I asked Sanjeev, I said, why don't you do something in your own hometown? There are enough and more graduates in Adilabad. Why don't you set up NTT Data in Adilabad? He was very hesitant. He said, no, I think the students would rather move to Hyderabad or Bangalore or Pune. I don't think they would be in Adilabad. I said, why don't you try? He said, okay, let me try. And he started with 50 people. He started a small center with 50 people. And 3 years later today, I'm happy to share with you, in Adilabad, NTT subsidiary has grown to 500 people and it's still thriving. The point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to make to you, a huge opportunity awaits you in India and tier 2 towns of India. Please consider it, because Amazons and Googles of the world are not going there. It is you guys who can go there. It is you guys who can actually create a brand there. I have another brilliant story to narrate to you, and that gentleman is sitting right here. Vamshi, I think you just should say hello to everybody. Please get up. This is Vamshi Reddy. Of course, he did not get the dress code memo today, so obviously he's not wearing a jacket like most of you. Now, Vamshi is an entrepreneur. He has several IT companies, technology companies, but the one company that I associate with him is Quadrant Resources. Now, Quadrant is a company, again, headquartered in Seattle here. When Quadrant, because Vamshi hails from Warangal, so again, I gave him the same nationalistic, hyper-local pitch to him one day, and Vamshi fell for it. So he built, no, I said in a good way, fell for it in a good way. So he built a campus in Warangal, in about 2 acres of campus, and you will not believe this when I say it. That campus is possibly as good as the one he owns in Seattle in the US, United States of America. In 2 acres, he's truly built a world-class campus, and I have inaugurated it myself. And I have to tell you,